Well, welcome in, everybody. Thank you for tuning in today. I am very excited to welcome in my next guest, a very familiar face from the University of Maine, head coach of the Black Bears men's hockey program, Coach Ben Barr. Welcome in, sir.
Thanks for having me, Ben. Excited to be here.
Oh, definitely excited to get the first time having a chance to talk to you. So definitely excited to have this opportunity. Before we dive into all things UMaine and all things hockey, how's the summer been? Are you getting any time to relax?
Um, yeah, a little bit. I mean, you got to find time to do that. It's a crazy time. You always think that you're gonna have time to do some things, and then there's a lot of changes in the NCAA right now, so it's just a lot of administrative work, a lot of fundraising stuff, trying to get through and manage the new landscape that we're in, which seems to change daily in our world these days.
Yeah, like we said earlier, no off season for you guys. It's a 12 month a year job for sure. Of course, you're entering your fifth season behind the bench here at Orno. Just amazing how the time has flown by. What are you most proud of since you've been here at UMO?
Um, I don't know. That's a tough question. No one's ever asked me that really. I
Oh,
mean, maybe something like that. I, you know, we're. I'm glad that we've been able to become relevant again. Not that and that doesn't mean the team was always poor. And it just I'm glad that I think we have a common vision within our program, with our administration, with our president, chancellor, AD, development office. I think we're all on the same page right now, which is really, really important for us to continue to hopefully keep moving forward at, the way things are in the NCAA. So that's, I think those relationships, obviously the team improving is first and foremost what we're judged on. But that happens because there's common vision and a common belief that it's important for the University of Maine to have a good hockey team.
Yeah, it's been so much fun, as you said, just the relevancy of the program coming back, reminding us of those, early to mid '90s years under Sean Walsh, and you have got a rabid fan base. I mean, I follow some of the UMaine fan pages online, and talk about some passionate fans. It's nuts what you guys have
It
up
is
there.
nuts. Yeah, it's been more than I could ever have imagined. And I knew it as a visiting coach for multiple programs over the years, and it's even better than I would have imagined. And I always thought it was one of the best. So we're very fortunate to have I think the best fans in the game, and we don't take that lightly.
No, for sure, for sure. Coaching as long as you have, every successful coach, has those people of influence over the years that help them along. Who do you credit for yourself as maybe one of the more influential people that have helped you, in this coaching journey?
Um, well, it's not like when you're a player, whether you're a player or a coach, whether it's hockey or another. I think everybody that you're fortunate to be around at some point, coaches that you had, coaches that you coached with, they're all influential. I've been really blessed and fortunate to be around some of the best just by pure luck in my life, and I mean the first and growing up in Minnesota, everyone plays hockey. I was in a
Sure.
tremendous hockey environment in Minnesota. I think there's probably more hockey players that play at our level and professionally from the state of Minnesota probably than any. Maybe Michigan is close,
Sure.
after that. But so that was, just growing up there was lucky, and had a lot of really good coaches as a youth player. And then luckiest thing in my hockey career that happened to me was being able to be at Shattuck St. Mary's when that school was becoming a kind of like a hockey power, really. And that, so now it was nowhere near what it is today when I was there, but that was, you know, Brian Riley and Tom Ward, who's still there, Andy Murray, Alex Moody, a bunch of guys. I go down the line, JP Parisi, Mike Eves. So it just the people that we were around as young kids was like, I mean, that's so influential when you're 14, 15 years old and you're around some of the best hockey minds in the world. So, and then I, as a player at Danford and RPI, and then I got to, my first job in college, really, I shared an office with Jim Montgomery, which is a big reason why we have why I'm sitting here talking to you today.
Not too shabby.
And, yeah, I mean, he was an assistant at RPI right after I graduated, and so that was just lucky. And I didn't know him before that. And then, Nate Lehman was the head coach at Union College when I went there, and he's gone on to have an unbelievable career. And then you kind of go from there. Right now here, I mean, the interesting thing here is, one of the guys that I really looked up to my first job was Rick Bennett, who's now here as one of our assistants we just hired this summer. And then Alfie Michaud, who was our goalie here the last time we won the national championship. So I'm around people in our staff right now that I look up to. So, I just super lucky to, I can go down the list of Greg Carville when I was at UMass and Jared DeMichael. So I've just been super, super fortunate to be around some of the best people really most of my life, which is why you're talking to me today. It has nothing to do with really, a lot of it's luck, So.
Yeah, well, luck, hard work, and taking advantage of those opportunities, which not everybody does, So, coaching with Jim Montgomery. Of course, I'm a big Boston Bruins fan. I love the fact that we had him, UMO guy, of course, legend up there. I could go on a rant about how coaches get fired, and my regular listeners know I get a little wound up about how unfair it can be. But we miss Monty for sure. But he's obviously doing great things in St. Louis, so that's fine. Such an exciting 2024-2025 season for the team. Winning hockey East. Outside of winning the conference, what are some of your favorite memories from a season ago?
That was obviously kind of the pinnacle of it, and it was disappointing at the end. Losing into like Silver League tournament. It's easy to look back and try to figure out why that happened, and I got to take a look in the mirror and try to figure that out because it's happened 2 years in a row. We didn't play well. We played a really good team, obviously, against Penn State. And, kind of walked into a little bit of a hard snap with probably a lot of teams up here feel like they do when they come into the Alphon. It's we did that going into Pennsylvania to play them, but we have to be better in those scenarios. But the thing that is so special about our program up here is that every time you take the ice at the Alphon, it feels like an event. You never think it's going to get better. Like, hey, we played Denver last night at New Year's, and then 2 weeks later you come back and you play UNH or Vermont or BC, and it just gets better every single time. And it's really hard to create that. It's very similar to like a Fenway Park of college hockey, I think.
Sure.
Where it's an old school arena. It feels like you're going back in time a little bit when you go in there. Now that we've modernized it, and we are continuing to, but the lights and the scoreboards and that kind of stuff the last couple of years. So it's modernized to the extent that it needs to be. Maybe some fans would say they like some comfier chairs in there, but that's also part of the allure of the place and the nostalgia of the place, I think. So it's hard to pinpoint a couple moments, honestly. Like last year that was like, okay, that was really cool. It's playing Denver up here, playing the Quinnipiac the second week for homecoming, and we won the second game in overtime. The UNH series is always crazy. The playoff against Lowell was there's no bad memories when you have a chance to play fun, and that's we're so fortunate with.
No, that's awesome. And I had that as a question about the Penn State game, not wanting to ask about X's and O's. Sounds like you're already obviously diving into, what you can do better, what the team can do better. What have you discovered so far from, like, what can you take away from that experience to build into this coming year?
I mean, I didn't watch it for like when your season ends. I tend like it's sometimes I'm just like I didn't watch it for a couple months, but I have watched the game back now in the last few weeks. Now we're getting closer. The thing that I take, I mean, obviously they played really well and went to the Frozen Four and all that kind of stuff. So you give all the credit in the world to them. The thing that I don't think I managed very well was the week before. It was a very emotional week winning Hockey East. Like being at the Garden and winning, because I've been on teams that have won national championships and been in the Frozen Fours, and
sure,
it was actually more emotional than that, which is hard to maybe explain to people outside of to Maine. But like walking into that rink, there was more emotion in that environment than there would be in a Frozen Four. And well, how does that? Well, when you're at the Frozen Four, whether it's in Tampa Bay or Minnesota or Boston, or if it was in Boston, probably the same, but like Las Vegas, you're going into a building with 20,000 people, but they're not all Maine fans.
Correct.
And you're just getting a swath of people from all over the world, or all over the country, that go to the Frozen Four every year. And you're going to have there's always emotion playing for a national championship, no doubt. But we went into those buildings, and both those nights it felt like the whole state of Maine was in the Garden. And
because they were.
Well, I mean, pretty darn close. So it's and that's the uniqueness of this program, where we walked into the rink that second night, and it felt like everyone was waiting for us to walk into the rink, and then you go out in the game, and the whole place has Maine jerseys on. And so that night in the couple days following that were really, really emotional for the team, and I don't think I did a great job of handling that. And when you're playing one game scenarios, which we do in the NCAA, and you have one bad period, like that first period against Penn State, like we actually scored the first goal, and then we took some penalties, and like it felt like it was really bad, and we actually didn't play poor in that period, but that period killed us. And and then you're in a hostile environment like we were, and we never got it back. But if I had to do it all over again, I'd maybe manage the day or two after we won Hockey East a little bit better, just to try to recover that the emotional edge is really what made our team pretty good the last couple of years. Like, we had some extremely hardworking guys that we weren't going to go out and outskill everybody we play in Hockey East or in the NCAA tournament. We were just going to go hopefully outwork them, and we did that for the majority of the season. And we just didn't have that extra edge in that game. I mean, that's what I'm looking back on.
Yeah, those penalties, and I'd have to watch that too. I feel like I remember a couple of those being real kind of 50-50 sorts of calls. I mean, maybe as a head coach you feel that way about every penalty, but you guys weren't getting away with anything in that game, basically.
No, but we also put ourselves into one or two of them for sure, probably. And that's the thing. You never know. You get neutral refs in the NCAA tournament. So when you're playing in Hockey East, like you know all the referees and kind of their tendencies. And when you get to that part, if you put yourself in those situations, you're allowing the opportunity to take penalties. And maybe one or two of those wouldn't have been a penalty in a normal Hockey East game, but they were in that game. And we didn't learn that lesson quick enough, and we put ourselves in those scenarios. So that's on us, obviously.
Well, we can get off this topic.
Thank you.
I know it's not a pleasant one, but no, it's all good. Taylor McCarr, what is his professional ceiling in your opinion?
That's up to him. I think his ceiling is whatever he's willing to work to get. And you saw what he did here last year. He was one of the best players in our league, in my opinion. So. He took advantage of the opportunity that he got here, and he ran with it. And he was highly motivated coming in here, knowing he had 1 year. 6'4" guys that skate really well and are tough don't, and actually have a decent skill level. Those guys don't just grow on trees everywhere. And so, his game is highly translatable to the next level, in my opinion. It's going to be the consistency that he can do it with, and I think that's he found that last year where he didn't, he wasn't having a good game, bad game, good game, bad game. I mean, he was just very steady and consistent all the time. And if he can find that, when he gets that opportunity someday, which I believe he'll get, I think he can have a long career. And and he's a phenomenal kid. So usually the character plays a role in it at some point when you're going through the pro grind of trying to make your way, and he has all that, and then some, as far as just the type of person he is. So it'll be exciting to watch where he ends up.
Yeah, and he's got his brother out there to kind of steer him in the right direction. Not a bad big brother to have, I'd say, right?
Not at all.
No, for sure. Of course, your goaltender, Boija, he's back, third season for him with the Black Bears, 1.82 goals against last year, 928 save percentage. Spent time at the Bruins Dev Camp this summer. For those that don't really know a lot about the goaltending position, what is it about his game that just makes him special?
I think what makes him really good is his mental approach to it. He's incredibly competitive. If you were to watch one of our practices, he gets mad when when a goal goes in practice. And sometimes these are, 3-on-0 drills that they're, that are unrealistic, and he still gets mad about it, which, it tells you a lot about, the type of person he is. So it's, I think it's really cool that, he's continued to push the, the envelope. And, selfishly, obviously we're excited to have him back. I think he's also very smart. He's very self-aware. And, because he very easily could have left last year, and, that's just the world that we live in. And he had a great year. And if he would have left out, we would have all been happy and proud of him. And, but he also realizes that he still has some, there's still things he can do here to get better. And, he's going to have to be super elite at 6'6'1", whatever he is. Unfortunately, he's not going to be 6'3", 6'4", like your typical NHL goalie these days. So, I think he realizes that and realizes there's value in coming back. So we're obviously fortunate and excited to have him back.
Yeah, going to be great to watch him. It was really good to see him down there at the Dev Camp too. I think he played pretty well from what I remember. Some of the writers that were down there, he was definitely being mentioned. So that's great to see. You referenced earlier, obviously, some changes with the NCAA. What are your thoughts on this change with the CHL now having, NCAA options for those players?
I think that the CHL thing is probably a long time coming, to be honest. I think it's, is there some things that, change is always hard, and it's, it's really easy to, when something and you're comfortable with something, okay, this is the way it is. And then when it's not that way anymore, it's always like you're going to, there's always going to be an adjustment. I think the next couple of years, there'll be some really good scenarios, some scenarios that don't work out. But I think in the long run, it's actually really good for the players. It's really good for development, for a player to have the ability to go to that level, and whether it's the USHL or the CHL, one of those three leagues, before they come here, for the development of the hockey world and the of individuals in the game of hockey, it makes a lot of sense. So it'll every program will handle it different in college hockey, and for us, we're obviously very close to a lot of those Quebec League teams and Ontario League teams. So I think selfishly for us, it'll be a really good thing to have those players eligible. We have quite a few of them here right now with us, which is because this is the closest place for a lot of them. And that's always been a disadvantage for us geographically. We're further away from, most if not all the players that we're recruiting are in the Midwest or out in BC or whatever, like the major junior, the USHL, BCHL, which have been kind of the top, tier 2 junior leagues over the years. Like, we're getting on a plane. It's hard for people to get here. And realistically, Maine, the state, the population, you're not watching a lot of hockey in Maine, no. So it's, So we've had a disadvantage that now becomes a little bit of an advantage when it comes to some of the Quebec League or maritime teams, these New Brunswick and Nova Scotia and PEI and stuff. So, that's really good. I think the big question mark, I don't know if you saw this yesterday, there was a couple players playing out in the Midwest at different colleges that are literally pro players that are now eligible to play college hockey. So,
I didn't see that.
Yeah, that's going to be the thing that, no one really knows what our rules are anymore. And that's where you see some of the frustration. Are we going to be watching American League games or East Coast League games, recruiting players? That's honestly, at this point, that's almost one of the things everyone's like, is this going to be a real thing to recruit these players to come back to the NCAA? Well, it's happened now with a couple instances this year. So,
wow.
It's just, we're just in a really weird time where like the rules and the, this settlement that just happened a month ago or whatever, it's just, nobody knows what anything is anymore. So when you go from this highly stable, things have been the same for the most part for decades, to just completely basically winging everything, that's when people start getting a little weird. So, we've had the transfer portal, CHL players, now potentially pro players.
Crazy.
So it's just, everything is just taking a 180 and you're just going, okay, what, NIL, all this kind of stuff, like all this over the last few years. And so, I think everybody, not just in hockey, in every sport, is trying to get a handle on what is the NCAA at this point. I don't know if anyone really knows. So it's, for lack of a better way to put it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, referencing the transfer portal in there as well. What are your overall thoughts on that? I mean, it's good for players, obviously. Is that transfer portal, is it just a pain in the neck for coaches, or is it a tool that it can be healthy for you and for your program?
Well, last year it was fantastic for us.
Sure.
Taylor McCarr and Frank Jurasevic and Owen Fowler and Charlie Russell and Ross Mitten. So you're sitting there, all those guys were impactful players for us. So this year we got Max Scott out of the transfer portal, Harrison Scott's brother, and Harrison was 2 years ago, and he was one of our best players for the last 2 years. So it is what it is. I think you're just trying to, we can only control what we can control. We can control the culture, and we can control the people that we bring into our program, whether that's players, staff, support staff. Those are the things that we put a lot of time and effort into. The rules can change or whatever, but if you have some values or principles that you're really big on, hopefully you can use those as kind of your guiding light as far go regardless of what the rules end up changing. So that's been kind of our challenge as a staff and a program to try not to get caught up in this is different. Yeah, well, what is the same? The same is that we want to be a really hardworking, high character group of people that that cares about each other, and that we want to be the best developmental program in college hockey. And then if we are that, we'll give ourselves a chance to win hockey East championships and national championships and that kind of stuff. So that's all we can really focus on right now, because if you get too far in the weeds or into the things you can't control, it becomes exhausting mentally,
Yeah, just wasted energy on things you, like you said, you can't change. So, no, I love that answer. I'm not great at counting. Anybody who knows me, I'm not great at math, but I do count, I think, 4 players on your roster that have been drafted by the NHL. How excited should Black Bear fans be with this incoming recruiting class?
I think we have a really good group of we have 13 new players. That's a lot of new players. That's a lot. Basically half of our team. So that's a lot of turnover. We lost a lot of our guys that have been here for 3, 4, 5 years that were huge pieces of our culture. So that's not going to be replaced overnight. the NHL drafts, whatever. I mean, it's hard to, those are neat things. And, obviously we're excited about, all the guys that are coming in here. There's a lot of question marks as far as how fast we can find the identity of our team, and that's always a challenge, whether you have 20 draft picks, 0 draft picks.
Sure.
We had 1 draft pick on our team, Taylor McCarr, we talked about last year. And, we won the league against teams that have 15 or 20 at times.
Sure.
So it really doesn't impact winning and losing that much, in my experience. So, for us, we have so much change this year, which is good. That's part of getting better. And that's part of, our rink. We have a brand new $50 million renovation that I'm staring at right now. That's almost ready to open up at Delphon. We have half a new player. We have 2 new coaches. We have a new strength coach. So it's a lot of new, and how fast can we bring all that together and find our identity that's going to be the challenge. But I think if we do that, we have the ability to have a really successful team in a team that can do a lot, that can do some things.
Yeah, we can't wait to see it. Here we are, end of August. I would take a preseason game between Calgary and the Arizona Coyotes from years ago. Anything, just give me some hockey. So I don't think I'm alone in saying that. Of course, we talked Penn State earlier. They land Gavin McKenna, of course, heading off to the Nittany Lions. All that NIL money coming his way that was heavily reported on. Is UMO at a disadvantage when it comes to NIL? What can you say on that topic?
No, I would say no, we're not. In hockey, we aren't. It's we actually have a very unique opportunity up here where, take Gavin McKenna out of it. Obviously, that's an anomaly.
Sure.
And if somebody, whatever that amount is, or and that is, like, if somebody's willing to do that, good for them. If that's the right decision for them, great. I actually think we're, the way Maine, with the tradition and history of this program, I think we have a very unique opportunity, and it's already kind of shown itself to be like, we're not, in football and basketball, you're looking at players who are making millions and millions of dollars in some of these places, or they have been. They're trying to NCAA is trying to put that rabbit back in the hat a little bit right now too. It's, we'll see where that goes. But in hockey, that's not really what, we're talking about different, levels of, the NIL piece. So, with the amount of businesses that support us, the community that supports us in the state of Maine, we actually have a very unique opportunity to do, and we have a lot of those things where our student athletes can take advantage of, going to XYZ business and doing some things for them, and there's value for those businesses to do for the players. So, I've been at other places where there wouldn't really be the value. They might do it just because they're a corporate sponsor or whatever, but there really might not be the value there because they're in a big city with pro sports and other colleges or whatever. And here, it's different, and that's so I kind of view it as a unique time for us. The challenge that we have is, in order to do this stuff, you have to have. We're having to create new positions to manage this kind of stuff, and that's not me. It's our administration, Jude Kelly, our athletic director, and President Freeney Money, Chancellor Malloy. It's such a different world that becoming equipped to actually handle these things is the biggest challenge that we have. And so those have been the conversations, not whether we can or can't do it, whether we can do the things fast enough that, in order, because there's a time element to some of these things where, and it doesn't, in the university worlds, those, it's not unique to University of Maine, that, these things kind of, tend to move a little slower than the sports world might might want it
Yeah.
to. So
Right.
that's why right now you see in a lot of the Power Five conferences has been advantage in this stuff because obviously they might have 100,000 students at their team at their school, and they might have 100,000 students or people at a football game, which trickles down to everybody else.
Sure.
Um, but they also have the infrastructure to be able, okay, we need to be able to do revenue sharing, within our, for our school. Like, okay, we can get this figured out in a week, so that
Yeah.
and we hire 3 new people or whatever. So that's a challenge for us, and we have our leadership here is awesome, and I think they fully understand what we're trying to do and why it's important, and I think we're actually set up pretty well for it, to be honest.
That's great to hear because you're going up against, we talked Penn State, Michigan, Denver. I mean, some of these huge, absolutely huge universities, and we know UMaine is what it is. I don't know, what, 15,000 students. I'm not sure I haven't looked at the numbers lately, but smaller scale, state university. So it's great to hear that we have maybe some nice built-in advantages. That's awesome.
Yeah.
For anybody who has not attended a game at the L Fund, can you just speak to what makes that barn so special?
Yeah, it's hard to put into words because if you were just to walk in there on an empty day for practice, you'd be like, oh, it's it's a cool place, but it's not. You wouldn't go, oh, this has to be the coolest place you could see a game in college hockey. You wouldn't think that necessarily, and then when you go in there for a game, I mean, you can feel it an hour before the game even starts, and so. In my opinion, the biggest thing, you see all these beautiful new rinks that get built, and there's some unbelievable places and facilities in college hockey and pro hockey around the country, around the world, really. I'm not so sure you could build a rink like the L Fund today if you just try to do it. I don't know if you could build a rink that has a student section literally a foot or two hanging behind from the ice, hanging over the opposing goalie for 2 periods.
Yeah.
I don't think you could do that. I don't think architecturally you could do that. I don't think you'd ever build a rink that has a roof that looks like a mountain range on it. I don't think,
Right.
so all these things that they've, it's been kind of different iterations of the L Fund from when it was originally built, and then they add on again and they add so it just, for some reason, it just comes together, and it's just an electric place that it feels like everybody is literally right next to you when you're playing. And so I think that's, on a game day is what really makes it special. And, I haven't been anywhere else and I've been everywhere in college hockey. I've been to some places that are extremely hard to play in some great environments. I don't think anyone else has a student section of a balcony and a lower seat section that you are literally hanging over the rink, and then you have on the other side suites that are really almost hanging over the rink, and it's just an experience for the fans and frankly for the players and coaches as well that you just can't find anywhere else.
Yeah, very special place, and as we already commented, the fan base we have for your program, they're electric, they're amazing. You talked about the renovations. Are they on time? How are the renovations going up there?
Yeah, they're getting close. I went through it yesterday. We're probably a week or two from being into the new facility, and it's I've been blown away with how, and I think the public will be blown away too. I mean, it's not a ton of stuff that you would see in the rink itself, but when you walk into the new concourse and it's a totally different experience. They did a better job than I could ever imagine, and I always thought it was going to be nice. And now seeing it close to being done, it's as nice as any NCAA, probably maybe even NHL facility out there. So it's as far as for our student athletes, but I think the enhancement for the public, and when you walk into that new concourse or the new store and the new branding and new concession stands and all that kind of stuff, you'll see it's kept all the same charm, and it's just been enhanced a little bit, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's exciting, and it might even help you. Not that you need help in recruiting, but hey, new facilities, that means something to these players, right?
Yeah, that was the one thing that coming here 4 years ago, knowing that that was the one thing, and it's hard for us to get recruits up here for games because our games are usually on the weekends, and most players that are playing junior hockey or hockey where like they're playing on the weekends too. And the days of players missing games to go on college visits, those were over about 20 years ago. So, this will help us. Now you can bring someone up here on a Tuesday or Wednesday and say, hey, this is, not only do we have the best game day experience, you can find, but we also now have a facility for our student athletes that is as good as anyone. And that was something that, frankly, we have been a little behind in, for the last probably 10, 15 years. And now, having that piece of it will be awesome.
I had the owner of the Maine Mariners on, Dexter Payne, about a month or so ago, and we're talking about how he's planning to try to build a practice facility for the Mariners someplace in southern Maine. And I didn't even realize this, but, I guess when they go to practice, they go to the Trobe for a lot of practices. They have to get dressed at the Cross, drive to the Trobe, put their skates on, then drive back to the Civic Center to shower. It's like, that's bizarro land, man. This is pro hockey. And so anyway, it's I'm excited to see what they can do, and just excited to see what the finished product will be up there at UMaine. So that's great.
Yeah, no, it'll be good. I mean, obviously it's great for our program and the women's program, but I also think it's great for the community. Obviously, it'll be something that we'll be able to probably do more events outside of games, Maine hockey games up here. Sure. And more camps in the summertime and that kind of stuff. So it'll be a really good thing for the entire community, I believe.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, more ice the better, for sure.
Yep.
I've just got one more question for you. And again, Coach, thank you so much for the time today. This has just been a real pleasure for me to get to talk to you. What is the most creative taunt you have ever received from an opponent's fan base?
Yeah, that's the second question I've never been asked before. I'm gonna have to think about that for a second.
If you don't have an answer, it's not a problem.
Well, so here's the thing: like, I'm not so sure I've ever gotten in order to get a taunt from another fan base. You have to, as a player, you have to be very good. So I probably was nowhere near good enough as a player to get a taunt from another fan base.
I mean, UNH has got to have something, right?
Well, UNH is out because you have to. It's kind of like here when you go that rivalry. When you walk off the ice, you have to literally walk through right underneath all their students. So in that corner over there. They say some things that they know things about your family and whatever that you'd be like, I don't know how they know that. I'm sure it's no different with our fans for opposing players up here. So that's the place where you're kind of like when we go there as the Maine Black Bears and you go play at UNH. It's the same when they come here. You hear some things where you're like, wow, I didn't expect that. To say exactly what those were, I'd have to really think hard, and I don't think I got that in my brain right now.
It's all good.
Yeah.
We had some good ones in I went to a small college down in Georgia. Our soccer was our big sport, and a Christian college, and we had some taunts that were not, let's say, Jesus approved. That I don't even want to say here on the show because this is a family show. But anyway, again, Coach, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it. Cannot wait to see your Black Bears back on the ice this coming season.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben, for having me. I appreciate it.
Right. Well, thank you guys for watching and listening today. If you're already subscribing to the channel, thank you. If you're new to the channel, thank you. Really appreciate that. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. It keeps you up to date on all the upcoming shows. And until next time, everybody, be kind, show love, and God bless.